fingers and the thumbs in order to grip the stick firmly but not tightly. Here we're showing bottom hand control. We're showing range and flexion and strength. We need to be able to control the stick at the end of the stick. Here's a perfect example. The player is able to hold the stick away from the defense. Here we're working on top hand control. The top hand controls the head of the stick and allows for tight control of the stick. It is vital to have top hand control if you're going to have great cross control. Here we're working on cradling and switching hands, especially at the end of the stick. Notice the flexion and strength it takes to control the ball in the stick. Our cradles are oftentimes body movements or wrist movements. Either way, it is centrifugal force that is keeping the ball in the stick. Here, Mac is demonstrating how to cradle the ball in the stick in tight to your body. Notice the wrist action, and notice that he's switching hands very quickly and efficiently. The ability to switch hands quickly is a characteristic of players with great cross control. Here, we're working on part hole catching. Notice we're catching the ball with the bottom hand on our stick, developing strength that many players don't even realize that they need. Here's a perfect example of where bottom hand range comes into play. Great catch. Now we're working on part hole top hand. Notice the target that we give for the feeder to aim at. Notice the hips are slightly lowered and there's a giving motion as if we were catching an egg. Here's an example of where Mac catches the ball with one hand, very similar to our part hole drill. Remember, it's incredibly important to give a good target, and all great players do it. Here's a perfect target and then a perfect pass. Catching the ball over your shoulder, otherwise known as the snively look, is a very important aspect of cross control. Here Mac is showing the snively. Here's another example. Many times a snively will happen when the ball's out top and you're cutting underneath the defense. It allows you to catch the ball and already be facing the cage. Now we're working on defensive stick. I'm going to catch with the Barry McGee mural, in which he's quick sticking the ball and he's aiming for a spot in the eye socket of the mural. The wall is a great place to learn how to quick stick the ball, and quick sticking is a great skill to have if you want to have great cross control, that is. Here, you'll notice a nice 30-yard pass on the money, a nice pass across the crease, and Mac showing us his quick stick on the shot. Notice the quick stick pass here. Your cross control. First, your wall has got to be your best friend. Great players have all spent a lot of time on the wall, as Jim McAlevey has. Here, Jim's doing his favorite wall drill. It's the quick stick with the switching of hands. Whether you're short stick or long stick, you got to pay your dues on the wall. Here's Dan Dotola, three-time All-American from Yale. He's definitely paid his dues. Hey, remember, have fun. Here's a little creativity. As soon as we have any proficiency in a skill, we would like to combine athletic skills with cross control. Here we're doing an overspeed drill, just like our pro agility, in which we're just simply running with the ball in our stick. This is a figure 8 drill. Here, we continue to develop our skills at full speed. Remember, if you ever drop the ball, finish the drill. It is the speed that's the most important part. If you practice your skills at full speed, your skills will catch up to the speed. Here we're having a little fun with a bungee cord. We do not believe in line drills. What we would prefer to do is have more realistic drills. Here, we're just running pairs. Notice that we have sticks to the inside here. We have an up-tempo drill. We increase the speed as the practice goes along. Here we have 3-man, sticks to the... We have a simple monkey in the middle drill. We feel the keep-away drills are a great way to develop cross control. Notice all the stick fakes. Notice the give and goes, the creation of passing lanes, and the defense working on knocking the ball down. Here, we're going 3-on-2. Notice that the players move so that they are adjacent to the ball at all times. This is a great drill to run in a 10 by 10 box. Here we've progressed to 4-on-2. We do not, however, have 4 players standing around in a box. You'll notice that the players are executing give and goes every single time they pass it. Notice the give and goes, the quick sticks, carrying the ball, passing it back. This is just like running an offense. We even have our goalie in there. Unevens are a great way and a fun way to develop your team and to develop great cross control.
Going into the scooping position, okay, you want to keep your top hand up close to the head of your stick or anywhere where it feels comfortable. You want to bend your knees, bend at the waist, keep your stick very low to the ground at a slight angle, hit the plastic head of the stick about 1 inch or 2 before the ball, scoop through. Again, as always, bring it up into the tuck position and get ready to run. Practice your scooping and always protect your stick as fast as possible. The ground game is so important in lacrosse. Used to be a time hit the ball of your teammates any way you can.
Dodge begins when the attackman forces his defenseman to overcommit. Once that defenseman has overcommitted, the attackman must roll to the inside and place his body between the goal and the defender. It is important that when you drive your defenseman up the side of the cage to be far enough in front of the goal to have a good angle when you come out of the roll. Stick position is critical. To complete the dodge, keep your stick in tight and using your body as a shield to avoid the defenseman's check. Remember, accelerate, come up high enough on the cage for a good angle, keep your pivot in tight, protect your stick with your body, and move directly to the goal. The roll dodge is mainly used when you're running directly at the defender and he has already overcommitted himself to one side or the other. You're able to roll off of him and continue to the shortest distance to the goal. The roll dodge starts by accelerating into your defenseman. Get yourself in close to him. The key is in the pivot. Plant your left foot and use a large swing step around the defenseman. A quick roll dodge creates the distance I need to attack the goal. Remember, when you come out of the roll, it's a foot race to the front of the cage. Not every roll dodge ends up one-on-one with the goalie. This attackman uses a roll dodge to get off a nice outside shot. The protection of your stick is often the difference between success and failure. Remember, get in tight, pivot around the defenseman, and protect your stick.
We want to make sure the stick is in our fingers as opposed to in the palm of our hand, and we want to make sure we cradle with our wrist. We also want to keep our referred to in lacrosse as the box area. The next thing we need to do to have good stick protection is get our offhand up high and away from our body, and this will act kind of naturally as a shield between the defender and my stick. We've got to make sure, though, that I don't push off the defender with this free hand, or I'll be called for warding off. But if it just sits up there and acts as a shield, no problem. Also, I got to make sure that I turn my upper body, turn my shoulders into the defenseman, and again, my body will be between my stick and the defenseman, which is our goal to have good stick protection. The last thing we need to do to have good stick protection is just to make sure our head is always up, looking towards the middle of the field. A lot of young players will focus so much on having good stick protection, everything will be great, and then they'll forget about keeping their head up, their head will go down, and they won't see their teammates. So a quick review, make sure our elbow's locked. We want to make sure we cradle with our wrist and not with our arm. Next thing we have to do is have our hand up high and away, keep our head up, turn our upper body, and the defenseman will never get it away from you. Once I establish good stick protection running in one direction, I need to learn to maintain it through a dodge. In a change of direction dodge, I need to make sure my stick to the dodge and I change direction. I want to make sure my stick stays in towards my body, in between my legs. As I go to switch hands, again, I want to make sure my stick stays close to my body. I don't want to pin it against my chest, that's illegal. And then as I roll out of the dodge, I again keep it near my chest, and then I protect my stick outside the dodge. If I was to do it the incorrect way, I would keep my stick nice and tucked into the dodge, then I would keep it outside my legs and hang it behind me, and I'm going to lose the ball pretty easily. Probably the best way to work on your stick protection is just have another run back and forth and have him throw checks when you leave your stick unprotected. If you are in a situation where you don't have another defenseman, a drill I use and a drill you can use to work in your stick protection is just get two cones and try to run back and forth, making sure that you're working on all the elements and everything's in place. Your stick is really tucked, you go into your change of direction, you keep your stick between your legs. It should look something like this. Alleviate a really aggressive checking defenseman from taking the ball away from you. The first one is to make sure you change planes. Right now I'm running on the same line or the same plane, and it makes it very easy for my defenseman to time up his checks. If I change planes or zigzag and run in and out on my defenseman, again, keeping my stick protected fundamentally, but running on a different plane will make it very hard for him to time up his checks. The other thing you can do, and probably works more than anything, and the mistake more younger players make than anything else, is just running full speed. If you run 100% full speed when that ball is in your stick, the defenseman's got to run full speed. He won't be able to throw as many. Practice running on a different plane or running in a zigzag pattern. Best way to do it is to get a defenseman out there with you, have him throw a lot of checks, and continuously run in about 10 or 12 yards at a time on a zigzag. If you don't have that option open to you, get two cones, put them about 12 yards apart, run in between them again on a zigzag pattern, keep your head up and keep your stick protected the whole time. Regardless of what level you're currently playing at, having good stick protection will make you a better offensive player. One thing I used to do when I was growing up, when I would go out and run long distances, I would continuously run with my stick protected, cradling with my wrist, start my dodge. If I get too close, as I bring my stick over on the split, he's going to check my stick. So I want to make sure I'm about 2 stick lengths away from my defenseman. When I get to that position, I want to shoot my head, my shoulders, and my stick head in the opposite direction of where I'm going to go. So in this situation, I'm going to split back for a righty passer shot. So I'm going to shoot my head, shoulders, and stick head to the left. Once I've done that, hopefully my defenseman goes for the fake a little bit, and I can split back. I want to make sure my hands are in close, I'm not hanging my stick out too far, and I'm going to split back. I then want to get my free hand up in a good protected position to absorb a check. Once I get to that position, I want to go full speed, explode out of the dodge. I also want to make sure my head is up, and I want to look to pass or shoot right away. The next dodge we're going to talk about is an inside roll dodge, and the first thing we need to make sure we do with an inside roll is that we have really good stick protection. The defenseman's going to be kind of right near us, checking us in this situation. Next area, shoot offside, low, and I should be able to score. The final point to the inside roll is that once I get to the position in 4-and-4, I've done everything right, I roll to the inside, you can see that I'll seal him off, I'll seal my defenseman off a little bit with the leg I roll with. So then I can just take him to the inside and get a shot off. So if you roll the proper way, you'll actually seal your defenseman off and he won't be able to play you. As I go to make a pass, any good defenseman is taught to try to make a check on your hands. As I see him commit towards me to make that check, I'm going to take my bottom hand off, get good stick protection again, and run right through him towards the goal. The simple change of direction. I like this dodge because it can be used anywhere on the field. What I like to do in a change of direction is run about half to 3/4 speed and make my defender think I'm trying to beat him in that direction. Once I get to a spot where I can roll back and have a decent shooting angle, that's where I'll execute the move. Another tip that should help you beat your defenseman is to change direction just as he's throwing a check. If you can do this, you'll get your defenseman off balance, and this works especially well with a very aggressive, hard-checking defenseman. A final thought that we cover during stick protection is to just make sure you keep your stick tucked into and out of the dodge and keep your head up at all times.
Foot forward to give stability, knees bent and be in a slight crouch. Your weight should be forward and up on your toes. This stance gives you the best position to move in any direction at any time, which is essential when playing your man one-on-one. Remember, feet slightly wider than shoulder width, 1 foot forward to give stability, keep your knees bent and be in a slight crouch, and always on your toes, and keep your head high. Now that you have the proper stance, footwork, and positioning must come next. Some attackmen can be very swift. Be cautiously aggressive, and always keep yourself between your man and the goal.
A defenseman's stick is his weapon on the field. When held and used correctly, it can be as precise as a surgeon's scalpel. Our expert on stick position is George McGeaney.
If you have your stick in the proper position, you're going to disrupt and frustrate your attackman's game. When your man has the ball away from the cage, you should try to keep the head of your stick across his chest, right on the numbers of his jersey. Always keep your stick on his stick side. From this position, you can keep constant pressure on your man to execute a check or block a pass. This defenseman is a righty, so he naturally holds his stronger right hand up higher on the stick. When his man is running to his left, he's using a backhand motion with his stick to pressure him and check him. When the attackman runs to his defenseman's right, he keeps his hands in the same position on the stick, but now he's using a forehand motion with his stick. Naturally, this would be the opposite for a lefty player. Another way to defend is to change your stick from lefty to righty as your man changes direction. You should practice both these techniques to see which one you are more comfortable with. When your man is cutting for the cage, he is looking for a feed and is a tremendous and most accurate pass. I'll now demonstrate the poke check. The poke check is the most effective in lacrosse because it is bothersome to attackmen, yet does not cause the defenseman to overcommit. You must maintain the correct stance and not lunge forward out of control. With both hands on the stick, the bottom hand will thrust the stick forward while the top hand directs the check. For anyone that has played pool, the action is very similar. The check should be aimed at the butt end of your opponent's stick or his stick hand, and always keep the poke check away from the attackman's head. Notice that I am not lunging forward. I am keeping my balance at all times. The bottom hand is thrusting my stick towards the target as my top hand directs the check. The check is short and quick as I quickly return my stick to the ready position. The key to a good check is quickness. Poke checks are good at destroying rhythm. Poke checks can cause a feeder to miss the...
You must stop his momentum. This can be done by exerting equal pressure back on him in what we call standoffs. You can legally use your hands and arms while on the stick to apply equal pressure on your man and keep him away from your goal. The most effective standoff is the V-hold. The name comes from the positioning of the forearm and stick making a V. Here you will see that the forearm is used to apply pressure to the back or arm of the defenseman while the bent wrist is locking in on the attackman's shoulder. Let's just watch the V-hold work. Here the attacker is trying to back into the goal, but the defenseman is standing him off. Be prepared for his next move. When you stop him, he'll try something else. Don't overcommit. We don't want this to happen. Keep your stick on his stick side. Be ready to check his stick if he tries to shoot or pass. Standoffs are used when you've given up the last inch of ground you care to your attackman.
The attacking creaseman is 3 yards or less from the crease. The defense...
Bacigalupo comes as advertised, but he's got to do it here. Oh, nice defensive play. Wade had it taken away. John Webster. That was a goal, or no? No. 3 minutes into the third quarter. Dave Cohen along with Dale Drypolcher. John Webster. On 12. Danny Levy with it. Thomas again. That was Thomas's first shot of the game. Not a great one.
Beautiful save. It didn't look maybe as dramatic as it was, but he had no reaction time left. That shot was at close range, on close to 100 miles an hour.
Is that a guess or is that instinctive reaction?
I think in that instance, because he didn't have to move much, it was all reaction.
Here is Ryder. Hasn't scored yet. Archer hasn't scored yet. 3-3 game. 1 minute into the second quarter. Archer.
I'll tell you what, Dave. Ryder has Morrow on now. He's going to score much. Morrow is sensational.
Archer playing patiently.
Now they've freed him up. Now Morrow is still on him. Here's the matchup. Ryder against Morrow.
Look at Morrow down in the crowd. Syracuse goes way outside. Played there by John Barr. He's got one of the goals. Now Barr has it. Moving in from the left. Stop. And go. And a fake. And Barr gets it again. And he goes low, and it's deflected.
And, Dave, the reason Barr is very active and he will be dangerous is because Higgins, the long sticks defenseman, the very talented number 25 for Princeton, is playing against Charlie Lockwood right there. Lockwood gives the ball up so that Barr can go against the short stick.
Barr, they look for that screenplay, a man popping off again, but they couldn't hit him. So Syracuse showing extreme patience. Here comes Ryder against Morrow. What a matchup. Took one on the head. So it's a free shot coming for Syracuse. Ryder.
Morrow can't believe it.
Morrow. What a matchup. Took one on the head. So it's a free shot coming for Syracuse. Ryder.
Let me tell you, you watch him a lot. You see him up there at Syracuse very.
Line right down the middle of the field. If this defender were playing traditionally, his feet would be squared up, pointing upfield, and his stick would be stick on stick. In the Princeton way, all we ask the defender to do is keep the man from crossing that imaginary line in the middle of the field. We ask him to point his feet towards the sideline.
Some of them.
Prima.
Here in the second half. Syracuse being patient with them. They feel like within 3 they are still there. Parker gets it up.
For Princeton's Whaling, and they'll rotate. But the ball, and Torty had dropped back. Has turned to a little. Ball, and Torty had dropped back on defense. He was right there.
Has turned to a little bit of a shooter. Watch the big shot here by Whaling. He is a defensive tackle. Oh, he's taking his time. Freshman, one-on-one, going to short stick. The slide by Bonanni. Blocks. Ball, he's taking his time. One-on-one. Midfielder. Massey. Low.
The double screen for the left-handed shot. A perfect play.
Casey Connor showed some moxie there. Quint, he waited to the last minute, just calmly took away the shot. Jess Hubbard, or a decade controlled by Maryland and Cornell, and that was a year that here to be honored.
attack. He gives it up, gives a little shake and bake, and cuts to the goal.
That's a tough save.
And that's a textbook give and go. He gives to the goal.
This one goes in. Beautiful job by Lawrence Smith. Didn't get it cleanly in. Healy got a chunk of it, but the move was from behind to the front, and they get goal number.
Coming off the side, look for a ball. They want ball.
John Hess gets it up top, and the cut comes in. Beautiful feed to Chris Massey, and that's where Princeton will kill you. Off-ball cut. Have so many guys that can stick it, and the first goal of the game scored by Princeton, it was Massey getting it from Hess.
Hess really the initiator behind for Princeton. Real quick player, played at Nyack. There's Coach Simmons on the sideline. Take a look inside. You'll see Hess dodging and Massey in front, all alone. Syracuse getting
going against the short.
Let's go, LJ! You got it, LJ! Slam toss, Birmingham!
is to draw an imaginary line right down the middle of the field. If this defender were playing traditionally, his feet would be squared up, pointing upfield, and his stick would be stick on stick. In the Princeton way, all we ask the defender to do is keep the man from crossing that imaginary line in the middle of the field. We ask him to point his feet towards the sideline and drive his man down the side. Right now, he's in perfect position. As the offensive player starts his dodge, we look to just stay with him and actually trail behind him a little bit. If possible, we'll get our stick in underneath the arm as he's starting to shoot and look to lift his lead elbow. As you can see in this shot, the ball went in the goal. And in most cases, you might say, that's not good. For the Princeton system, that was perfect defense.
Bill, I'm a little confused. Why is that good defense if a goal is scored in a one-on-one situation?
Well, because our defense is based upon sliding. Sure, it looks like it's going to be real easy to beat our men, but when we insert the second guy, you'll start to understand why the team defense can take care of that. Now that we've got the top player playing positional defense the way we want it to be played, the important man in the Princeton way is the slider. Notice he's top side of his crease man and starting to leave early. And here's some live action of a Princeton defender driving his man down the side, as was just demonstrated. Now comes the key man, the slider. As we continue on, we've now gone to 3-on-3. The top man is doing his job, driving his man down the side. This next sequence will show what can happen if we get swept across the middle of the field. Remember, we don't want anybody crossing this line. When they do, we're in trouble. Notice our slide guy. He's starting to head in the direction he thought his man was going, but he has to roll back. It's not good enough, and the shot's in the goal.
Does the same concept apply when playing behind?
Well, it's a little bit different, Andy. Now what we're trying to do is force the attackman to do an inside roll. The technique for the close defenseman is to not allow his man to beat him to the top side of the goal. We're trying to force an inside roll at the goal line extended. Notice how he swings his feet around and forces the attackman to come underneath. One-on-one defense for the close defenseman is based entirely on forcing the inside roll. Notice as the attackman moves up the field, we're looking to play good solid defense, not throwing any checks, just getting up to the top side, getting our lead fist in his armpit, and watch our feet swing around. This is a technique we use called closing the gate. This forces the inside roll, and now we've got the attackman where we want him, going underneath. Now the 2-on-2. Notice we don't throw any checks. His job is to get to the top side of his man and force the inside roll. Now we've got help from the slider coming across. The sliding technique is very important. Knowing how to slide and when to slide can mean the difference between a goal and a check. Right here, the slider sees the number on the back of the offensive player. That's when he should be going. As he starts to get near the offensive player, his stick goes in front and he starts to break down. That's the how to slide. Now we're doing a 3-on-3. Once again, stick in good position, starting to force the man on his inside roll. Slider starting to leave, second slide already in position for the pass if they throw to the crease. Now we're 6-on-6. Here's our 1-on-1 technique, force the inside roll. We make a great slide here. Notice how his stick is in front and he's starting to break down already. The slide is made. The man who was initially covering the ball carrier is sliding back to the crease. He's going to help out and try and find an open man. The ball moves around. We're back in our defense. This attackman is going to be taking the next drive. As he drives up, we do a good job of turning him, but watch this next slide. This player is going to overrun his slide. The attackman squeezes through, throws a great pass to the crease, and the ball's in the back of the net. Here's another great example. In this sequence, you'll see lots of different things that can happen to this defense. Some good, some bad. The defender does a great job. He forces his man on his inside roll. Good timing on this slide, but look at that technique. That's trouble. Notice the furthest guy from the ball is wide open because everybody else is in good position. This technique will kill us, however, because this attackman will be able to find that open man. Play goes on. Ball goes over the top. We force him down the side. We get a good slide. On the shot, notice this defenseman. He immediately turns his head and looks away from the ball to find the open man. As this feed comes from the attackman to the crease, we're able to get a good check in, and the goalie makes the save. Getting beat topside by an attackman against a close defenseman is the worst thing that can happen to this defense. Watch how our slider anticipates the inside roll. Once our close defenseman gets beat topside, there's no help for him.
Now, if a dodge comes in from the wing, which way should the play be forced?
Actually, Andy, it's a combination of both. We still want to take away the middle of the field, but this time we want to make sure that this ball carrier never gets back on the top side of us, just like the close defenseman did earlier. We start our feet to the top side. We're pointing toward the corner or toward the end line if we can. As the player goes underneath, we're trailing him, and we're keeping in position to stop him from rolling back. That's all we're concerned with. And here it is again, driving a man underneath. This time, we're going to follow the man. Remember that this man, to score a goal, is probably going to have to shoot with his left hand. So as we trail, we keep our stick straight up and wait for him to bring his stick back to his left hand and try and score. We're then going to look for a nice chop check as he shoots. Here's an example of how not to play a wing dodge. Notice the defender trying to turn a man back with his hands. He'll never get the job done. Our slide man's already headed underneath. He won't recover in time to help. Here's a 2-on-2. Again, we're in good position, top side, forcing him underneath. Just waiting for our slider to come and help us out. As with the midfield and the attack, here's a 3-on-3. Cover man does his job and drives him under. The slider comes across, and the fill man makes the check. Good. Now we're 6-on-6. Here's our cover man. Here's our slider. Here's our fill. As the action goes on, we force him under, we make our slide, make our fill, and we're in great shape. If that's the shot they got to take, we'll let them do that all the time.
It seems you've created an offensive defense, forcing the ball to where you want it to go, taking away the good shooting angle. But doesn't this put too much pressure on your crease defenseman?
It certainly does, Andy. We ask a lot of our crease guy. We've had some great kids play there in the past for us and expect nothing less than perfection from each one of them. Let's roll the tape, and we'll watch the crease man, how he has to move around with the ball, stay between his man and the ball, and yet be ready to slide at all times. This is a tough job. What can help him is that the farthest man from the ball is always in position that in case the crease man does have to go, we can fill in for him. You can see right here, our fill man is taking his job, which allows our crease man to cheat off a little bit so that on the dodge, if we do our job and drive our man down the side, we're gone, but we're helping inside as well. Notice it's always the furthest man from the ball who's open. In sliding to a midfielder, the crease defenseman looks for the offensive player to plant his foot and start down the side. At that point, he should be ready to go. Our individual defender takes away the middle and sends him down the side. And here comes our slider. Stick extended, breakdown position, and now we've got our 2-on-1. In this shot, we're going to show the crease man sliding against a 2-2-2 offense. Let's roll the tape. This is our crease defender. He may have to be the slide man, but it could be anybody in this defense. As the ball goes up top, once again, we do a nice job of driving the ball down the side, and we're ready to go. An important point to look at now is what the original man who was covering the ball does. The slide continues. On that action, we head toward the crease and look away from the ball. If this man were to cut to the ball, he would be right on him. Anybody in our defense can become the crease man, as was stated earlier, looking to feed the inside. The defender's job in there now is to communicate with one another and check down when the feed comes in. They must listen to the goalie's communication. Let's roll the tape and see how it works. Ball moves around. On the feed, goalie does check, and we get one. Once again, the ball's up top now. We've got to get top side. Nice switch there. Ball's still up top. We're up top. Stop the tape for a second here. We made a nice switch there. They fed to the inside. Behind, we've got to swing behind. Now we're going to see a dodge from up top. Ball's going to go to the top midfielder. This man here must know I'm the slide guy. On the dodge, he's ready to go. As he leaves, we bump over from the second slide, and if we had another defender in here, he would be the fill. Really nice job in there by those two defenders.
What offensive formations give this defense the most problems?
Well, Andy, as we mentioned before, some teams will go from one formation.
And that's probably one of their smarter players. Powell for the course of the game. He gets real tired. They're going to switch up Cook and Neff.
Powell has it. Vanderpool now out front. Vanderpool likes his right. Syracuse down by 1. Rodriguez now gets the ball around to Casey Powell and gets a little bit of room with Cook, and he backs up, creates some space. Here's the 1-on-1. Comes in, 1 pass, 2 pass. Easy save. And Cairns just did a good job of blocking it. Not the greatest shot. They made 2 passes out of the game about 20 minutes into that one. That was quarterfinal action at Rutgers Stadium. Princeton will not give up very many shots against their goalie, Cairns rather. Now it's Syracuse moving the ball around, down by 2. This is a team that has more patience than most Syracuse teams you're used to watching. Most of Syracuse's teams are a running gun. Can't wait to shoot the ball. This team, not as many stars, not as deep. Taking their chance to the big shooter. Shot. Paul Carcaterra.
Carcaterra's got 11.
Talk about bad. She had a left-handed shooter on the wrong side. Really didn't have much of an angle. No trust Cairns with those saves. Cairns can't get it. Finally picked up on the far. Marcy looking for the shot, and again, not a great angle. Cairns picks it up. Syracuse tries to get the big cannons in good position. Syracuse needs some time on the offensive end to get some good shots. Princeton not only getting the good shots, they can do it quickly, they can possess the ball for long periods of time with their great stick skills. They present a lot of problems to every team they play this year. Who's now trying to get with Matt Doyle. Look at the double team coming. The ball down on the ground that quickly as Princeton send bunches. That was Matt Fleming on the double. Cairns coming out of the goal, and now it's loose. Lee Felsbo, Quinn Kesnick, Christy Lee's outside. We'll be talking to her as the game goes on. This is our first semifinal for Division I lacrosse in 1996.
Right now, offensively, Syracuse not handling the quick slide and the double teaming very well. They're turning it over every time Princeton double teams.
But that's really a testament to how well they do it, because Roy Simmons and company knows that's what Princeton is going to do. They drill for it, they practice for it, yet well, it's effective. Syracuse with a loose ball, they can't get the shot off. Still
a little more patience. They played a lot of defense in the first quarter.
The ball. Nobody open inside now. Tara gets it checked. Great slide up top.
So we've got a game to play, and it's just like any other.
Bean wearing his orange practice jersey for Princeton. Syracuse. Goals, big check from Princeton on the double team that we've watched all game long.
And Ben Strutt timed that perfectly.